Hello and warm welcome to the final take with me, Seni Marina. Wherever you are joining, this is another insightful edition of the final take with me, Seni Marina, here on the Alcamba Times. Thank you for joining us today. Tonight, we're just months away from the historic December 2026 presidential elections, and the public sentiment is more critical than ever shaping the future of our young democracy. In recent days, the Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies, better known as CIPRES, released a major nationwide opinion poll conducted in November 2025 with support from the National Endowment for Democracy. The pre-election survey offers one of the clearest snapshots yet of how the Gambians view the direction of our country. Trust in institutions, key governance challenges such as economy, corruption, civil space, media freedom, and crucially, voting intention on the electoral outlook ahead of next year, ahead of December vote. The findings have already sparked great debate from perceptions of the ruling NPP alliance holding around part of the support, section of the elected open to alternative on district voters and strong views on issues like term limit, leadership renewal, candidate society, and everyday citizens are all probing over the data to understand what it means for the road to December 2026. To unpack the results in detail and provide expert evidence-based analysis, we are honored to welcome a very special guest tonight, no other person than Dr. Mustapha Jobarteh, a senior consultant at CIPRES and a key member of the 5-person research team that design, execute, and analyze this crucial poll. Dr. Jobarteh brings years of experience in public opinion research, governance strife, and democratic trends in the Gambia. He will walk us through the methodology, highlight the most revealing findings, explain regional and demographic variations, and share what this insight tells us about the health of our democracy post-2017 transition and what political actors should take away as the campaign season intensifies. Dr. Jobarteh, welcome to the final take with me, Seni Marina. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Let's start by having you introduce yourself briefly to our audience and tell us a bit about your role in CIPRES NED Opinion Poll Project. Mr. Jobarteh, welcome to the final take with me, Seni Marina.
Thank you so much, Seni MK Marina, for having me in your show. So I am Mustapha Jobarteh. I hail from Kuda, same village as you. I did all my education in the Gambia.
Somebody was saying this is purely an affairs today.
Maths and economics. Then I did a master's in economics, University of Mauritius, then a PhD in Istanbul. So I've been with the University of the Gambia for quite some time now. And CIPRES is a center of research that is based at the School of Business and Public School of Business and Public Administration. The center conducts research on public policy and strategic studies. At CIPRES, at the University of the Gambia, I'm a senior lecturer in economics. I teach both in the undergrad and the master's program. At CIPRES, I am a senior research consultant, and I've been in this role for some time now, at least 5-6 years now, since I returned back from PhD in 2019. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mustapha. When I posted that you are my guest for the final take, somebody was like, this is going to be purely a Kudang Alcamba affairs. I said yes, but basically this is a moment for reunion and a moment for all of us also to come online and talk about issues that is affecting our country, though we are all in different field. I mean, the media, you are in academics, but I'm super proud of your achievement, Dr. Mustapha. I just want our readers to know that me and Mustapha all hail from a small community, Kudang. And then, you know, I can say we all grow up together in the rural village of Kudang.
Thank you,
Mustapha, it's my
MK.
pleasure today to host you on the final take. My first question, is the poll shows that 58% of the respondents believe a third term for the president would weaken democracy. What factors do you think are driving this sentiment, and how does this compare to previous CPRES polls on term limit?
So, term limit for a democracy, I think it is based on the standard that we've seen in many countries around the world, that people by default prefer leaders not staying for a very long period of time. And in our sub-region, we have seen where when leaders stay for a very long time, sometimes it leads to chaos and instability. And our very close neighbor, Senegal, you've seen what happened and how the Senegalese fought to ensure that Macky Sall, who really wasn't a very bad leader, you can't say he was a bad leader. He did very well infrastructure-wise. He contributed a lot. However, despite that, the Senegalese did not want him to undertake a third term. And all around the region, we've seen examples of this. And I think now that we're in a digital age and almost every person has access to what is happening around us and the instability within the region, which to some extent emanates from the fact that some of the leaders have been in office for a very long time. I think these are some of the things that really influence people's perception. Right. Not necessarily that the current president is it's not doing very well, infrastructure-wise, is doing very well. But I think people really people are allergic to leaders staying for a very long time.
Absolutely. Dr. Jobarteh, with only 32%, approving the president performance and 37 expressing no trust, how fragile do you assess the Gambia's democratic institution based on this result? And what reform would you recommend to rebuild trust as per the polls?
So, trust in the president, these are going to be based on my own views. The survey, all what we did in the survey is to ask people what they think about trust in the president and all of that. And all the other questions that we have asked. So to really, I think when it comes to trust, one very important thing that comes across, it's with what seriousness is the government taking head on some of the very important obstacles to accountability, one of which is corruption. The way and how we have seen cases of one case upon another, and that the government is not doing significantly enough according to the expectations, according to our expectations, in tackling some of those things. I think that has weakened trust in the current government in terms of handling the job. And when you have cases upon cases of this kind of things happening in a country, people tend to believe that the presidency or the current government is really not acting in the interest of the people, but in the interest of those that are close to them, the elite. And that really sends a very bad information, that really sends a very bad message. So if government wants to improve trust, I think they have to take on head-on corruption cases and prosecute whoever is responsible, and really show no mercy when it comes to public funds. Put them where they're supposed to be. Let everyone be accountable, and then that way I think they will win the trust of the people.
I can hear you, Dr. Jobarteh.
Yeah. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay, let's look at the economic distress. 60% of related economic management badly, and 66% are dissatisfied with job creation. With the cost of living as the top concern, how did urban and youth respondents differ in their views, and what policy intervention could address these economic grievances?
Okay, so when it comes to the government performance, based on, like you indicated, based on the data that we have, um, 6 in 10 people are not happy with the way they're handling the economy, and just a quarter are happy, which really is disproportionately, people are dissatisfied with the way the government is handling the economy. When you talk about job creation specifically, we're seeing that nearly 75% are not happy with the way the government is handling job creation. That versus 22% of those that are not happy, those that are happy with the way they are handling.
Um, Wherever you are tuning in, this is the final take with me, Seni Marana. It seems I just lost my guest, Dr. Mustapha Jobarteh, live from Banjul. He seems to, got some technical issues. I can have him right now, but I will try to bring him back on board as soon as possible. So we are talking about the CIPRES poll that was conducted by the Center for Research. Just a few days ago, Dr. Joy is what the lead research. We will try to get Dr. Jobarteh back on the show. Dr. Jobarteh back. We are finally able to get Dr. Jobarteh back on the show. It seems he lost some connection on the way.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Dr. Jobarteh, are you there?
Am I audible?
I can hear you. Well, yes, I can hear.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Okay, go ahead. We were talking about the economic management, which was rated 60% badly and 66% of dissatisfied with the job creation. So I'm asking what policy intervention could address these economic grievances as highlighted by the respondents?
Yeah, so for the Gambia, I think what the government can do, honestly, there is efforts from the part of the government in terms of integrating the youth into the job markets. We have all this IOM events and projects that are taking place, and the TVET uh, education that is taking place, ensuring that the youth have skills, so that they are able to, even if they can't find job in the government, they're able to employ themselves. So I think these are levers that the government need to emphasize a lot. And one area that is really missing is entrepreneurship education. It's not only skills to be able to do carpentry, to be able to do plumbing and all other skills, but I think we need to have national entrepreneurship training programs for the youth of this country and encourage them to be in the markets. It's unfortunate that in this country, wherever you go, in any markets you go, you find that the foreigners are the one dominating it, right? You go into our markets, you find that the foreigners are the ones dominating. You go into cars, spare parts, you go into grocery, you go into almost any sector, you find that the foreigners are dominating this. That entrepreneurship mindset in the ordinary Gambian youth is really not very, very strong. I think they need to have entrepreneurship programs and provide some seed funding to people, encourage them to start all these things, show them what are the returns, in all these sectors. Then if they need be, government put regulations that ensures that, Gambian youths are able to access these markets, are able to sell in these markets, make it easy for them. So that plus the formal way and how, you train the youth in the formal education to get into science, tech, and all the STEM issues. These are areas that also we need to look into, because entrepreneurship, that's a gap that if really Gambians are absorbed in almost all the markets and the youths are encouraged to go in, they have the seed money and they're encouraged and follow-ups, I think this is an area that can absorb a lot. Before I end that, the only the sector that absorbs unemployment in a large scale in any economy is usually the manufacturing, because it comes with, even now we have all this AI, there's a fear that it will take over the jobs of the people in the manufacturing, but still it is usually the largest absorber of unemployment. And this is a sector that is really very weak in our economy.
Absolutely. I agree with you when you look at the Gambia. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we really need to, there should be policies on how to ensure that the Gambia industrializes and the huge, large, FDI that comes into sectors. At this stage, we, because it's levels, at this stage, we can't do high-tech manufacturing, but, we can do something that is primary product-based, right? That absorbs a lot of people. We cannot just be absent in those markets, right? We cannot just be absent when it comes to production. The more you have all these large industries, coming up, the more they absorb people. Most of the Gambians that are in foreign countries, where do they work? Most of them are working in this low-tech manufacturing, sectors in those countries. What does it involve in those countries to do that? It's not anything that is not within the reach of ordinary Gambians, right? And within the reach of the rich Gambians if the right policies are there. So I think we need to look into that. So to shorten it, manufacturing is the largest absorber of jobs. We really need to step in that. Entrepreneurship education is really important. Youth need to, with basic education, secondary education, they can get into those. If they are well trained on entrepreneurship, the proper markets regulations are put in there. Youth can be encouraged into every sector. Fishing, look at fishing, what is happening in this country. It's all non-Gambians. Go to our markets. It's all on everywhere. So Gambians need to be encouraged. That plus all this pivot skills education that is taking place for the formal education system. I think with that, we can do better.
Dr. Jobarteh, before
Thank you.
I take you to my next question, um, you are a university lecturer and a researcher too. You have dealt with a lot of people along the way. But what, in your honest opinion, what do you think is the issue why Gambians are not into entrepreneurship or they are not into informal sector to contribute to the economic advancement of the country? Because when you look at the Gambia and Senegal, Senegal is far ahead of Gambia in terms of young people engaging into entrepreneurship, like into business, small, medium, and large scale businesses. So what's your view on this? Why do you think that the young people of the country, the Gambia, are not, into entrepreneurship, which is the drivers of the economy all over the world? Dr. Jobate, did you get my question?
Thank you for that question. All around, we'll come down to, let's look at the context within.
It looked like Doctor is again faceless. I hope he can hear me and he's back on the show again. Dr. Jowate, are you there? Dr. Jowate, are you there?
Yes, I can
It
hear you, MK.
seems I just okay. Well, okay, you're
I
back.
can
I
hear
think you're
you.
having some technical issues with the connection. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's the
going on and
internet.
off, but I can hear
It's the
you
internet.
very well now. So my question before I lost you on the line.
It's the connect.
Yeah. So do you get my last question, or I can repeat it for you?
Yeah, I think I get it. About why Gambians are really not coming forward when it comes to entrepreneurship. The
Yes.
Gambian
Yes.
youth,
Yeah. Compared to Senegal
right?
and other elsewhere. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Hello. Yes.
Yes, I can
So
hear
like I
you.
was saying,
Yeah.
on other countries. So sometimes it's one. There are many factors that inhibits entrepreneurship development in a country. Basically, the so one of which would be, I think we have a cultural. Oh, these things delays. Okay, if you can hear me, I can see that we are talking on top of each other. But if you can hear me, what I was saying is, the Gambia, I think we have a cultural. There's
I'm hearing you very well, Doctor. It seems it's a very bad day for us here in the studios. It seems that Dr. Jawade is having get him back on the show. Until then, I will just take a little break and then we'll try to connect
Tune
back
into the Final
Dr.
Take with
Jobarteh
MK
for this show.
Mariner every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.
Break, we'll connect back to our guest, who is Dr. Mustapha Jobarteh.
Hello, MK. I'm sorry that we are having all this. I'm dropping off all the time. I think it's the internet.
Welcome back, wherever you are tuning. This is the Final Take with me, Seni Marena. My guest today is Dr. Mustapha Jobarteh, who is a senior consultant at Cyprus and also a senior lecturer. I lost Dr. Jobarteh on the way from Banjul, but I think he's back right now. Dr. Jobarteh, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you, MK. I can hear you very well.
Yeah, but my apologies for that. We're having a lot of technical issues from your end in Gambia. I think it has to do with the internet connection. But then we don't have much time to do, so we're going to capitalize on the little time we have to decode the poll that is already out on the public domain. So let's talk about accountability deficit. 66% of the respondents said the fight against corruption is poor, with institutional reform described as slow. What barriers have you identified in the Gambia anti-corruption efforts, and why are educated voters the most critical of this issue?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you get me now? Yes, I can hear you very well.
What barriers have we identified? Was what you were asking, right?
My question is on accountability deficit. From the polls, we noticed that 66% of the respondents say the fight against corruption is poor. Reform described as slow. What barriers have you identified in the Gambia's anti-corruption efforts, and why are educated voters the most of the others?
Okay, so the research that we conducted asked public opinion on what they think about how government is handling corruption as one of the metrics for government performances. And as you said, the results are really not very much in favor of the current government, and that it shows that people are not happy. So in my view, I think we have seen many alleged cases of corruption in the country one can argue that government hasn't taken significant steps in tackling those cases. And as a result, that group of people that are very much informed about what is happening in the country, usually the educated people, the youth that are always online and have access to information, are the people that are really showing the lack of dissatisfaction. Even though one should commend the government for coming up with the anti-corruption commission recently, but more significant work has been done. It's in the early stages. It's at infancy stage. No significant. Even if you take a look at it, even if the anti-corruption commission identifies a case, the Ministry of Justice has to approve before they go ahead. The Minister of Justice, Anthony, has to approve before they go ahead with that. So yes, it is anti-corruption commission, but really, its autonomy and its independence, even within the law, it's not very robust. One can argue. So I think that group of people that have access to this information, that know this information, it's no surprise that they indicate that they're really not happy with the way government is taking corruption. The other thing is reform when it comes to institutional reforms, which in some way has connection with our judiciary, for example, the police, for example, and all other important national institutions, the National Assembly. So people are showing that really we need reforms. We need all these things to be very, very strong, to become very much independent of what the executive are saying, and to be able to uphold. That notwithstanding, I always say we have to acknowledge the little progress that has been made, since the last republic. One can argue, to the current government, that in all cases we have seen some strife, but I think it falls short of the expectation of the people, especially that group of people that are really, really informed. And I think the government can do better going forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Many thanks, Mustapha Jobarteh, Dr. Mustapha Jobarteh, for those brilliant answers. Dr. Jobarteh, going forward, let's talk about election preparedness and call to action. 52% are concerned about election integrity and high political polarization with an urgent need for civic education. What steps should the government or the IEC take to improve preparedness based on this concern as per the polls?
That's an important question. So I think that they should be. I think the IEC should have a lot of engagement with the citizens and project its independence in the way and how they deal with everything that they're supposed to do before the elections. When it comes to the registration, when it comes to everything, it's not just enough to do, but also let the people know what you are doing. Let the people know how transparent you are in your operations. Let the people know how unbiased and fair you are to all parties involved. That really helps perception. That really helps perception. So that, for example, if anyone wants to register a party, let everyone undergo through the due process, and it becomes transparent. Post things on their websites, communicate with the people. The National Civic Education also can do a lot in terms of sensitizing the people of what is happening at all these institutions, what the IEC is doing going forward. So that if anyone comes on their website, for example, or whatever way in which they're trying to reach the people, they know transparently this is what is happening, and the IEC is really, really unbiased when it comes to election matters. And the big thing, on the day of after the elections, because it's a cycle, we have the presidential. Then we have, the parliamentarian and the LNGA that are coming. So show, that you are very, unbiased in the presidential. Then people will not doubt you in the parliamentarian and the subsequent elections that are going to follow suit. But they do good, do what you're supposed to do, communicate to the people. I think that will help.
Okay. Dr. Jobarteh, a lot of people were questioning the methodology and the credibility of these polls. I know polls like this, especially political polls, are highly charged, especially when supporters or loyalists did not see their politicians or their leaders doing well. They would be like, these polls are not fair. They are biased towards one political party, and I know this is something that you guys face in your work. So I just want to ask, this poll was conducted in November 2025. Can you walk us through the methodology, sample size, and how respondents were selected? Is it random sampling, regional distribution, face-to-face, or otherwise, or is there any step taken to ensure that it represent across urban, rural areas, gender, age groups, and religion?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. It's normal that whenever polls results come, you have some degree of dissatisfaction with the way and how it is conducted. That is normal everywhere. But to start out with, polls are an integral part of modern democracy. I was just looking at a poll that was conducted in the U.S. By this institute called it is called the Rasmussen Report. The Rasmussen Report, and they did a poll across the whole of the U.S. and guess what their sample size was? It was 1,145. Right, for the whole of the U.S. We did a sample size of
across the entire U.S.
Yes, they were asking people their views about the issues regarding several issues, and they report the poll results. So our sample size was 1,245. Okay, so when you want to do polls, because these are polls for election and issues that affect the citizenry, so we did a household survey. You want to get information from voters, but you don't have the registry that you can just go to from the IEC, an updated registry that you can just use to randomize. So we had to go on households. And how do we do this? So you first calculate a sample size. A sample size is on standard methods and formula that ensures that a minimum sample size that makes sure that that ensures that whatever you're going to have is going to be representative. So that sample size you now distribute, you stratified according to regions. In our case, regions is what is important. So you stratified according to regions. So we have eight LGAs. So within LGA, we have what are called enumeration areas. These are small groups of households. It could be from 75 to 125. Small group of households. So we have several EAs within each region. So what we did was we did stratification, at the level of the LGA, and within the LGAs, then we picked what are called enumeration areas, and how many EAs to an LGA depending on the size of the LGA. For example, Brikama, which is a very large local government area, Brikama has about 47%, right? Then a small LGA, and the size depends on the population of the LGA in the last census, right? A small LGA, like, for example, Banjul City Council, Banjul is small, so it has few EAs. I think up to 8 or 9 EAs we had in Banjul. So this is how you do the design, right? So once you do the design, and it ensures that whatever you have becomes a representative of the entire population, right? And this is done. We have what is called a frame from which you pick your sample, and the frame is based on a representative sample of the country that was recently conducted in 2025. So once this design is done, then we develop our tools, which are the questionnaire, the question we're going to ask, and then we train our enumerators, that people that have been doing this work for a very long time on the tool, on the digital tabs that we use, and then we train them on the tools to be able to ask the questions in the local languages in the most in the best way possible, so that the people understand. They go through sessions to ensure that the right word, the local languages are used, so that there is no confusion, there is no ambiguity in terms of what is being asked, right? then the fieldwork takes place. So within each EA, we pick 15 households. So you go to a household, so we randomize. So out of this 25 households within an EA, we randomize. So the first 15, they go to them. If a particular household is not available, if after two rounds, then we replace them by the 16th one. So it becomes purely random. So this becomes a multi-stage, stratified random sampling technique, right? So once the data collection is done, then it is reported to our servers, and we retrieve that data in Excel or in a data format. Then we analyze the data. After the analysis, in the analysis, we ensure that we take account of the design that we have conducted. In the design, we allowed for a 3% margin of error, right? And because it is stratified, at the level of LGAs and the EAs were picked, so the probability of one household being included may be different from the probability of another household being included. Then we do weightings. At the analysis stage, we take the inverse of those probabilities and weight our data, so that whatever we report is a representation of the population. And what tells you that is what we have in our results. We have like a 54% are female, right, and a 46% are male. And if you take a look at what we have in the last elections, we had like a 51% female. So if 54% plus minus 3% margin of error, it comes down to what really we have in the population. So that tells you that the methodology
is that deliberate, Dr. Jobarteh? Is that deliberate, or you just do it to have a 50% margin,
3% margin? The 3%, you have to allow for some errors in whatever you report.
Okay.
So you want to minimize it as much as possible. So 3% margin of error it's really good. It's a very small margin of error. Researchers will tell you that, and it's not very wide. So that tells you that our sample mimics the population that we have, and the people that we have interviewed. 92% of them intend to vote in the 2026 elections.
Oh, these are potential voters.
Exactly. These are the people that are going to vote, all right? And 82% of them already, 81% of them already indicate that they have already a voter's card. So that means that whatever we are saying from this survey really represent the views of the people.
We are still on the yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we are still on the biases and accuracy of poll. So what measures did your team take to minimize biases? I heard you talking about those, but I want to be clear to ensure that the respondents' anonymity, and handle refusals, because there were refusals in some cases on the survey, don't know responses. How do you manage this? What measures did your team take to minimize bias through responses and also handle refusals?
Okay, so there are two different things. Non-responses, when it comes to collecting the data, when there is a non-response, a household is picked randomly to be part of the sample. Then you go to that household, you don't find anyone there.
Okay.
You again go back, you don't find anyone there. After 2 visits, then the enumerator will let the supervisor know that this particular household that was randomly picked, there is no one, there is no response. So the supervisor is going to assign the 16th household in the randomization. So that is how we tackle non-responses. Okay, that being said, for some of the questions, the way the options come, for example, not all the questions, some of the questions, options are that I don't know. For example, the question on intention to vote. who do you want to vote for, right? It comes in two questions: the incumbent
I don't
versus
know. Yeah.
everyone, another candidate. So you can say I'll vote for the incumbent or I'll vote for another candidate. Then there are other options like I don't know, meaning I'm not decided. Right? So we call them the undecided voters.
Yeah,
Or
those are
someone,
the undecided voters. Yes.
yeah. Or a person can say, I don't want to say, I prefer not to say, right? Or a person can refuse not to answer that question. So refusal in the question refusal rate, if you go to the data, you'll find that that's very minimal. A person for any question that asks for it, usually for the voting, the refusal rate is very, I think like 1%.
Okay.
So that's it. Most of all the questions, are well answered. 99% are answered, according to these categories. So when it comes to biases
By the
of our
by the
report,
by the respondents. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Mhm.
yeah. So definitely, when
Okay.
it comes to biases,
Okay.
we
Many thanks.
only allow for a 3%. Yeah. Back to you.
Okay. Many thanks, Dr. Jobarteh, for that brilliant answers. My next question is, how does this issue-based opinion poll differ from the previous suppressed surveys, like the pre-election ones, and why was the focus on democracy, good governance teams supported by the National Endowment for Democracy? Why is the focus more on differ on the issue-based opinion poll differ from the previous suppressed poll, like the pre-election one?
Okay, so to clarify, okay, on this
Did you
one
get my
versus
question?
yes, this particular one versus the
Yeah.
previous. So in fact, what we did,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
what we did in November was to collect information on a lot of things. Our tool is very broad, it's very large. We have other
Yeah.
issues. We want to bring evidence on the table on almost anything that people are talking about there, and you find people say, I think. So we want to bring evidence on the table. So we have asked a lot of things. Including voting and on government performances and other issues. So what we have done now is to release the part on voting, on government performances, and social media and information issues. If you look at the report, these are the sections that it has, right? Then the issue-based poll results will come probably in the next 2-3 months. Okay, that information is there. We have other issues that we have done in-depth. We've asked in-depth questions about some of the issues that are on the table. So that report is going to come. So now, if you ask about how different is this from the previous polls, pre-election polls,
The
really
previous ones. Yeah.
all we try to do is bring in more issues that are on the table, because at any time the issues on the table are usually different, right? Like initially, in our previous polls we had no issue of third term. Third term is a new phenomenon, because this is if Barrow seeks a re-election, it's going to be his third term. Why we brought this, then other issues that are on the table that were not there before, for example. So that is usually, you try to adapt and make it dynamic according to what issues matter, right? Regarding NED, as we know, is the National Endowment for Democracy in the U.S. They fund programs and projects around the world that consolidate democracy, that strengthens, democracy around the world. So as a research institute with expertise in some of these things. Before we even have an engagement, we had an engagement with NET, or we had other projects with like the IRI, the International Republican Institute, and some other think tanks. We've worked with them, so we came to know that NET also funds projects along this line, and so we applied and we got this in the 2021 cycle, and also in the 2026 cycle. Yeah.
Have you ever received government funding to conduct polls like this before?
No, not in my team. Not in my team. We've never had any funding from government or any political party to conduct any polls. Like I said, our projects are very transparent. Whenever we release any reports, we always indicate who is funding the project, right?
Well,
So, and I like to emphasize at this point, like we always do, Surprise is very apolitical, and these polls are, as the name of the project, strengthening democracy in the Gambia. All we try to do is fill the gap of evidence. We try to put evidence out there so that our public discourse will be based on facts, not based on what I think. And of recent, we've seen this a lot of the time. So that's why we bring, that's what we can do as researchers. We bring evidence before the people, and based on this data and information, people can argue and counter-argue. We are not affiliated with any political party. We are not doing any smear campaign against any political party. In fact, what we're trying to do is to give them information and insights that they can use to better their own campaign, to better the way they target the potential voters, and for government also to know what the concerns of the people are, so that they do the right messaging, the right interventions, and the right programs. And I think everyone should see it from that perspective, from that goodwill perspective, not otherwise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Jobarteh, I think this is a very good intervention, because sometimes when these polls are out, emotions are so high, and how polarized our beautiful Gambia is in terms of politics, especially at this crucial time. I remember your first poll that came like a couple of years ago. A lot of people are like, don't take them seriously. These are people that are sponsored by the government to create confusion ahead of the poll, so that they can give voters an impression that so-and-so political party is not doing very well. But I'm glad that people are beginning to understand, your modus operandi, where you get your funds, and how independent, your organization is in terms of presenting this very important data to the public. So thank you so much for that brilliant clarification. I think we are just left with 7 minutes, because we didn't start on time as we wished to because of some technical issues, but I definitely appreciate your time coming on this show. So for those tuning in right now, this is me, Seni Marena, on the final take with Dr. Mustapha Jobarteh, a key member of the CIPRES research team that conducted this, I would say, thought-provoking poll, because this has been the talk of town since your release on Thursday. Moving forward, Dr. Jobarteh, what are the most striking overall findings from this poll regarding Gambians' perception of where the country is heading, like our direction? Example, the country is heading in the right or in the wrong direction, and then how do satisfaction levels with democracy compare to previous years?
Okay, so the report is there. We have many key takeaways from the report. However,
Yeah.
I think at that
What's the most
stage,
striking overall finding?
yeah. So one thing that is important is that there is need for reforms in governance. There is a need for reforms in governance. We've seen that the performance of the government across key indicators, what it shows is that government can do better. So we encourage, we underscore the need for government to make reforms, especially across in terms of national unity, efficiency of our institutions, something that is close to my heart, economic governance, the way and how they manage economy, to do some more employment generation, and the security of the people. I like to say, when I was at the ISS in South Africa, I did a I did a I did a blog article on the rising insecurity in the Gambia, which is out there on the internet.
Okay.
In
I
that
would
I
love to. You should share that. You should
yeah
share
that,
that finding with me. I would love
yeah
to
that,
have a look. If possible, share with
um,
our audience in
yeah.
Alcamba. Go ahead, Dr.
Actually, that
Jobarteh.
is there, the ISS today back in 2023. If you look at ISS today,
Okay.
rising insecurity in the Gambia. So most of the things that we highlighted in that blog article, in fact, if anything, it's really it's more important now than it was before. So all of this, what it points to is that we need to have reforms along these lines. Not we're not saying that the government is not doing what they're supposed to do, but we're saying that the government can do better, right? And criticisms are part of it's part of democracy, and one should also at this stage commend the current president for allowing that space. Definitely, that in itself it's a plus for people to speak out and say and what government can do, where government can do better, and I hope and I think they're going to take it in good faith. And also the apart from the reforms, one very important thing that the reports highlight when it comes to our electoral processes, in terms of confidence in our electoral processes. So when it comes to that, there should be more emphasis on the independence of the IEC. IEC needs to be compliant with electoral laws, and that they should portray that, at least portray that image that they will guarantee a free, fair, and a credible election across the nation in this 2025, 2026, 2027 electoral cycles. We've seen people, when we ask people what reforms should be prioritized, people say that IEC needs to be independent 100%. People are saying by 84%, I think, that they should be banned on vote buying. So these are things that are very close to the heart of the people, and IEC should not just trash them, but should really look inward and show. Then on media and social media, the good
So,
thing is, which also we should
Mustafa,
condemn,
maybe
is that there's a huge,
this is
large
just
amount of. Can you hear me?
go ahead. Are you done? I don't
Yes.
want
So
to
so,
cut
so
you.
basically that's it.
Okay.
And the final take
Okay.
is in terms of which we didn't talk about, how the incumbent is performing vis-a-vis everyone. The NPP
Yeah.
ahead of everyone
Yeah.
from the polls. But then if you put everyone on one side and you put the incumbent, the ratings are not very impressive for the incumbent, despite leading everyone. So
This is this is a little bit confusing, Mustafa, to maybe to some people, because from these polls you will notice that if the opposition, if elections were held today, the oppositions are likely to win. But when you look at the same poll, it's telling you that the NPP have an edge, ahead of these opposition parties. How do you arrive into that conclusion? Like, if elections are to held today, the oppositions are likely going to win. But the same survey is telling us that, the incumbent has an upper hand ahead of these opposition political parties. But if elections are to be held right now, the incumbent will lose.
No, what I think what confuses people is that, this question comes in twofold. One is the incumbent against another candidate, where another candidate leads, at 49 and the incumbent at 34. So what that means is, if all the oppositions come under one umbrella, if they all come under one umbrella,
okay.
then they're going to lead the incumbent.
As a united front.
Right. A united opposition is going to lead the incumbent if things stay as it is today. Right? Given the undecided voters also. Remember, we have undecided voters, which is significant as well. Assuming that that plays out equally among them, then we can say clearly that a united opposition is going to lead the incumbent at the polls. But we know, as we are speaking, that there is no united opposition. There is not a coalition. So in the second, when we ask the second question, that those who intend to vote for another candidate other than the incumbent, who would you vote for if elections are to be held tomorrow, right? Then that is where all the opposition distributed this. In this, UDP, out of that, UDP got 35%, right? I think the next runner-up is 11%, APRC Neutral Alliance. Then you have other parties. So what that tells us is, within the opposition, the UDP is the strongest. By far, the UDP is the strongest. So it's more of a a two-party thing.
Even without a coalition, right? Even without joining another force. I mean,
even without joining among the coalition, but when you bring all of them together, when you bring individually everyone together, the NPP is at 34, the UDP, they are 35 multiplied by a 0.45 thereabout, brings them to around 20, 17.5, around 20%. So the NPP is by far ahead of them, individually if you compare them. The NPP 34, the next runner-up around 17.5 to 20%. So it's far ahead of them individually. So as it is, if you go to the poll, if things stay as the same, and the undecided voters is equally distributed amongst them, right? If we go to the polls, as it is, there's no united coalition. Certainly, the NPP is projected to lead the polls, right? But the message is that the opposition should come together if they want to remove the incumbent. But on the other side also, if the incumbent still wants to strengthen their gains, they should try and get other opposition parties to join them. That's why we say this is for all of them to brainstorm on and do what they're supposed to do. So that's the feel for them.
Not to take it too personal.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Our people don't joke with politics. Politics is like a religion for them. So if you come out with your polls and tell them, look, your chances are slim in December, and they have been working for the past 5 years since 2021 elections, and you are telling them your chances are slim. But anyway, on a serious note, Mustapha, we are almost at the end of this interview. It's a very interesting conversation. I wish I could have you, in a studio setting where I'll be with you one-on-one, not virtually, because we are facing a lot of challenges. But I'm glad people are also watching, and it's a very interesting conversation. With the December 2026 elections approaching, how should political parties, candidates, and policymakers interpret these findings? What actionable insight can they draw to address public concern. You highlighted this, but I want you to talk about, because to them, this is an opportunity, for them to look inwards and know their strengths and the way forward. To others, they might think, there is an agenda, but you clarified that openly on this show. So tell me, what can they learn from this show or from this poll? What actionable insight can they draw to address public concern as highlighted in the poll? That's a very, very important, because polls make us to, inform us what our capacities are and what we can achieve, So what insight can they address public concerns in this?
I think every party should conduct a SWOT analysis in the light of this poll results. They should look at where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, what that means for them in terms of opportunities that they can grab before the 2026 election comes in, So, and what the threats are, in the light of evidence before them. If I were a leader of a political party, first thing I would do is I'll make sure that I have access to this report and read and reread at least 3 times. Look at my performances. If I'm an opposition, I will look at where the weakness of the government is. Which regions are my base? Which gender is my base? Which category of educational class is my base? Which category of the age is my base? And where are they? Right? Where is my weakness? How do I target these people? So then you would know what you need to do. You are not just guided by someone who tells you that I have years of experience in Gambian politics, right? But you are guided by data that you can trust with a good degree of at least you can trust. If you don't have alternatives, you can trust. So for every political party to do an in-depth SWOT analysis in the light of this evidence, and grab the opportunities that are there for them, and ensure that they minimize the threats, and I hope, I wish all of them the best. I hope they take it. That's how far we can go to bring the evidence before them. I hope they are able to take it.
Yeah. And you are giving them free evidence, free data, because if they are to outsource this kind of consultancy to people and say, hey, look, let's take example from the let's take example from the UDP and the NPP. They are like, Mustapha, we want to contract you to do a SWOT analysis, about this poll so that we can know our strength, or we want you to conduct another survey, so that, because this is an opportunity, for those, not only political party, but even the media, because from this survey, I noticed that our area was also touched. That's the digital media governance, how people are getting their news, from the digital media now, like my own platform. So this is a very enriching data that, not only politicians can use, but even the media policymakers can, make informed decisions and choices per the poll. So Mustapha, many thanks once again. And finally, before I let you go, as a researcher who has yes, maybe as a researcher, that's my final question, and I will let you go. We are on top of our 1 hour time duration for this show, but because we started 3 minutes or 5 minutes below time, so I just want to capitalize on that missed opportunity. Finally, as a researcher who has been closely tracking public opinions in the Gambia, what gives you hope the most from this poll, and what concern you the most as we head into December 2026 presidential elections?
Okay, so I think the one thing we should really commend when it comes to hope is the fact that definitely the current government is very tolerant and we hope, we have a strong hope that the 2026-2027 elections will come and pass peacefully, which is very, very important. And we have strong hopes in this, and this gives us peace of mind, right? So our concerns are I love it when I see people speaking based on facts. Not everyone is going to do this, but the people who, when they talk, people listen to them. So I hope also that the way, because this is what we want to do, the way our politics is, the way people view is now going to
Yeah.
be based on evidences rather than hearsay or I think issues. And I hope everyone
And they
is
tend
going
to
to use.
downplay.
Now we have,
They tend to downplay data.
yeah, I hope they're going to use it to put forward. For example, I saw the 2%. Yeah, so that's it. So I hope
Many.
people are going to realize that, and
Yeah.
it's a pleasure having you, MK. It's a
Oh.
pleasure being.
And some of our audience might not know this, but Mustapha, I have been trying to get Mustapha on this show for over a year now, and I'm so happy that finally, at a very good time, I got you on this show, to discuss about this Cypress opinion poll that was conducted by him and his team of researchers from the University of the Gambia. Dr. Mustapha Jobarteh, many thanks for joining me today on the final take with MK to decode the stock of the town, survey. And I understand you guys are doing one before elections. I hope that will not, you guys not going to press the panic button before December 5th elections again.
Yes, the plan is to do one in November, inshallah, in November 2026, just before the polls. So we see what happens. There's a long time, so issues can change, issues can, come up, and we see what happens then, inshallah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Wherever you are watching, this is the final take, and this brings us to the end of today's show with Dr. Mustapha Jobarteh. Mr. Jobarteh, once again, many thanks for availing us this opportunity to have you on this important conversation today. Do have the rest of your enjoyable Saturday, and my regards to your family back home in Gambia, and see you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Okay. That's the final take with me, Seni Marina. Until I come your way next week, I will bring you more and more exciting guests on your way. My apologies. It seems I am having some flu kind of today. I am not feeling very okay, but because this interview is so important, I have to make sure that we got Mustapha to decode this recently released polls. Until then, I will see you next week at same time, at same place.
Tune into the final take with MK Marina every Saturday on the Alcamba Times and experience extensive conversations on a variety of topics, including national and international headlines, breaking issues, and major developments in politics, business, innovation, science, and sports, along with inspiring stories and expert analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of the news.